This is going to be an interesting offering in our market. It's the B5 or Fangchengbao 5. It's going to probably be marketed under the Denza brand in our market, and it's a plug-in hybrid electric SUV with four-wheel drive capability and plenty of tech on board. I'll show you through it in this review. We'll do a little bit of off-roading, maybe some on-roading too, and give you a real idea about what this car is like. And it's impressive, let me tell you. Let's get to it, shall we? Thanks for subscribing. We don't know yet what the pricing and specs will be for this model in our market. It is highly competitive in the 4x4 SUV space, so I would expect that if you are a new brand, you need to be pretty assertive with your pricing. But it does have heaps and heaps of tech on board. There's a massive touchscreen media system, a digital instrument display for the driver, a head-up display. You've got heated and ventilated seats. There's lovely trim on the inside. You get a big panoramic glass roof, a spectacular camera system in this car as well for off-roading and on-roading. And look, I think it's going to come very well equipped for the money. It's going to be brought in as part of BYD's range of models under the Denza brand. And well, there's going to be some pretty good value, I would expect. Now, let's size it up and see how big this B5 is. All right, let's talk size for the Bao 5. So it's just under 4.9 meters long. So not a huge vehicle, but still not a tiny one. It's a 5-seater and it's on a pretty long wheelbase as well. You'll see all the dimensions for it on your screen now, and I think it looks absolutely amazing. Not necessarily sure that these wheels are the best, but I do think that it is an interesting looking boxy SUV, and this is all the rage in China at the moment. Now let's talk about the weight. It is 2,890 kilos curb weight, so it's not light, but it does have battery and electrification tech as part of it, and plenty of luxury too. We'll get to that in a sec, but it's got all the practicality elements you would think of for a 4x4. You've got some recovery hooks down low, your tailgate mounted spare wheel, and it is a side swinging gate, so be mindful of that. I will expect that it will swap to the other side for our market. But let's have a look in the boot and see what we're working with. Yep, there's plenty of room in there. That is going to be enough space for different people's needs, I would say. Yep, see, it even says Denza B5 right there. But you can see that that is a boxy space with some practicality elements like a netted section on the back there. You've got handles up there we could maybe actually use for storage, or if you're inside the vehicle, you could pull the door in from the inside. And you've also got on this side a shopping bag hook, a light, and a power point in there, which is handy. This side's got some more hooks, another 12-volt port, and underneath here you've got a little bit of storage for some charging stuff, because of course your spare is on the back. So let's take a look inside and see if it's luxurious or not. All right, check this out. Hit the start button and the gear selector presents itself. It's certainly an interesting touch to have the gear selector pop up like that, and there's plenty of interesting touches on the inside of this Bao 5. And some of the things that I really like are the rugged off-roady elements that you get in here, like these massive grab handles on the sides. Rather than being mounted on the pillars, they're mounted to the dashboard, and it's just a really interesting finish. You've also got another sort of grab handle there with a storage tray. There's a screen in front of the passenger, and of course you've got a massive touchscreen media system here as well, which has plenty of great tech on board, including a drive mode selector button there, which gives you a really great display of the different modes that you've got on this side, but also the different pitch and roll angles, your ground clearance, and you can also see what's happening with your powertrain too. So it's super duper clever. You go on there to put it into low range as well, which is a bit different. And you've even got some different modes here, like a U-turn mode to help it turn a little tighter, Sport Plus for speedy stuff when you're not off-roading, and Burst to give it a bit of a burst if you're in some slippery situations and you need that. So there's also a driver info screen here. It does offer a decent amount of vision, but you can see with the sunroof open, because it does have a massive sunroof, it's a little bit glary. So that's not ideal, I would say. Oh, you're seeing way too much of me in there. Here, you've got some information about your trip computer stuff, and your navigation system can also show up there. There's a head-up display too. So all the tech you would expect, yep, nailed it. And you've got drive mode controllers down here as well. If you want to use those, you can, instead of going onto the screen, and a bunch of different controls on this section of the steering wheel too, including a camera view button. So you can just hit that button on the steering wheel and that will show you what's happening around the car. It's got a very, very good setup for cameras, this vehicle. You can make it so it's a see-through vehicle. You can get both sides view. It's really, really great technology. There's auto parking as well. So that is just so good to be able to have that at a touch. It's really, really clever. Now, the other things in this cabin that I want to call out, you've got a wireless charger, a little charging tray there, so you can poke a USB through from underneath there, and you can put another phone there if you want to. You've got a number of other controls here, including front and rear differential locks. You've got some fan control stuff here, and a volume dial there. Four-wheel drive low range controller there, that's your on and off button, and EV and HEV mode buttons as well. So if you want to run an EV, you can prioritize that. And in here, you've got some cup holders, and you've also got, right there, you'll see a dial that can be adjusted up from -6 to 6 degrees. What's that for? That's for the fridge. And yeah, it's a pretty decent sized little fridge in there. Now these seats are also something I want to call out. They are very, very comfortable. They offer great support, which is a nice thing to see, because some other four-wheel drives can feel a little bit lacking in terms of support in the sides in particular. This is a very comfy and supportive seat. Makes you feel holstered in your spot. And I think first impressions for this car are really, really promising. Let's check out the second row space. Rightio, that seat is set for about my driving position. I'm 6 foot, and look, it's not the most space I've ever had in the back seat of a car, but I've got enough knee room here. It is a bit of a knees up position, but I can stretch out and put my feet underneath, and I'm 182 centimeters or 6 foot, and I've got plenty of headroom as well. The width of this cabin is very impressive, and there's a lot of other impressive elements back here. So you've got lovely looking door handles. I should have called them out on the front ones, but they're nice looking handles with this interesting shadow chrome. It's like a wood grain finish. It's very faint. I don't know if it can show up there or not. But you've got conventional pillar mounted grab handles. You've got lights up the back here, grab handles above there as well. Speakers in abundance, of course, and multi-pocket pockets on the seat backs, bottle holders in the doors, nice grab handles down there if you are wanting to hold on. You've got vents to make things more comfortable in the back, but no climate control for back here. But you do get USB ports and heated seats for the window riders. Now these seats, again, very comfy, nice and supportive, and still with some pretty good practicality, including a flip down armrest with cup holders. And yeah, it is a very, very primo feeling space for a vehicle that's designed to do some rough stuff. Very nice. Under the bonnet of the B5 is a 1.5 litre 4-cylinder turbo petrol engine. Now it produces 145 kilowatts on its own, but there's also a couple of electric motors in the mix here, one at the front and one at the back. 200 kilowatts and 285 kilowatts respectively. And well, the combined output is 505 kilowatts, 760 newton meters of torque. It uses a eCVT transmission, and it has dual motor 4-wheel drive. But we need to also talk about the fact that it is a plug-in hybrid, so it does have a battery pack as part of the mix here. It's a 31.8 kilowatt hour LFP battery, and it does have 100 Ks of EV driving range as the claim, and 1200 Ks of combined total driving possibility. And when it comes to charging, well, let's have a look at the back. On one side, you've got petrol, the other side, you've got plug-in. So this one is your petrol tank, and over here is your plug-in ports, AC and DC capability, up to 100 kilowatts DC as well. So it does have a very, very interesting powertrain, and it behaves pretty interestingly when it comes to the driving situation. So let's go see what it's like. We are driving the B5. Now I've put it into auto mode for this off-road test. Getting used to the size of this vehicle probably will be the biggest thing. It's the smallest of the cars I'm driving today, including the B8 and the U8 from Yangwang, but I am already finding that the technology is very, very helpful. The camera switching on to tell you if you're too close to something. You've got sensors as well, of course, and yeah, it's in hybrid drive mode as well right now. So it's using the engine to do a little bit of work to help us move along, but you've got front and rear electric motors. If you want to put it into EV mode, you can hit the button and it will do that for you. So you can just crawl along in peace and quiet in lovely situations like we're in today. Now, this is not maybe representative of what Aussies might do with a vehicle like this. It's an ATV track in China that we're driving on, but it's still a good mix of, I guess, bumps and lumps, and there are some technical bits and some tight bits in particular that will go across. So if you hear that beeping, that's what that noise is. It's the camera system telling me that I'm maybe a bit too close to things. It even has centimeter gaps indicated there, so 37 centimeters to something on that side, which is pretty nifty. And obviously you can turn that stuff off if you don't want those sensors going. So right, we'll keep on cruising up here. Lots of data on the screen as well. Now, that is something that maybe will be helpful for your navigator to have access to, because they'll be able to tell you a little bit of information about what's going on with the vehicle, or if you're in a bit of a tough situation, you might be able to have a quick glance and see what's going on there. But we haven't really had to do too much of the serious stuff on this test, because it's maybe not as serious as this car could probably cope with. And it does have low range, and it's got obviously a bunch of different drive modes. You can put it into mountain mode if you want to, and that will be better suited to maybe situations like we're in now. But in auto mode, it seems to be doing a pretty good job. And in EV mode as well, you've just got so much torque that it's easy to just drive this vehicle just using your right foot, essentially. Don't really need to do much braking unless you get something steep like this. And again, the camera tech will tell me, and the screen tech will tell me how steep it is. It's pretty steep, not uber steep, but crawl down, keep moving. Now, I'm liking the maneuverability of this vehicle. It's got light steering, but it is, my first time driving it on this track, and I'm coming to terms with it all pretty quickly. Good adjustment for the seat as well, lots of height adjustment, so it's easy to get up into a position where you can see a bit more around it, because it does have a big, proud bonnet. So yeah, it's a boxy unit. Okay, so it's got a system like a tank turn that you can use if you're in a really tight situation, where it will lock the inside back wheel so you can turn around with a tighter radius if you ever need that. That's pretty handy tech. I've used that in other cars in the past, not in this car today because I haven't had a chance to, but it is pretty good stuff. Now, through this section, we're a bit more offset here, leaning into these rocks, hopefully not too close to them, but no, it's all good. This is pretty easy going, and the suspension feels really comfortable as well. It's coasting over all of these things pretty well, but still with enough contact feel to the road below, or the surface below, I should say, to give you a bit of confidence. All right, so we'll keep going up over this crest, and this is a situation where you might find yourself pressing that button to get a view over, because it is a bit hard to see. So I've got it on the forward view mode now, and I can look down there rather than try and see out over the bonnet and get this done. Down we go. So that is pretty steep. We are facing downhill deeply right now. Let's actually see what angle we are at. 23 degrees? Yeah, that is rather steep and very easy to control. Good brake pedal modulation with this vehicle is another big plus for it, I think, because electrified vehicles tend to have a bit of a dull sort of sensation to the brake because of the regen braking that's built into the system, and it is still feeling pretty confidence inspiring. And that is just generally the vibe I'm getting from this vehicle. I don't feel like I am out of my depth here. I mean, it's not the most serious track, but first time driving it, first time, doing this sort of thing in China, it's pretty impressive, I would say. There's a few tree roots and stuff across this path, and like I said, you might find some more challenging tracks for this vehicle when it gets down under, if it comes, but I do think that it's going to be an interesting offering for people who are looking for something that is, well, high tech, but still highly capable. I think I've just barely scratched the surface with this car in terms of what it's probably going to be able to do. I can't wait to test it a little bit more down under if it does make it. Now make sure you have your say in the comments section, because I know that BYD and Denza's people will be reading your comments to find out what you think about this vehicle, and honestly I'd love to know as well. So make sure you have your say, and thanks for subscribing. Okay, so what's the Bao 5 or B5 or whatever it's going to be called like to drive on a sealed surface? It's maybe not a road, it is a sealed surface with simulated bumps and lumps. Pretty good. And it does feel pretty well sorted. It's maybe a little rolly. I guess it is a 4x4 with some serious off-road capability, so you can't expect it to be too lithe and lively feeling. It is heavy too, but it does hustle along pretty well, I got to say. I'm in the Sport Plus drive mode because that's what you need in a car park. But yeah, it's handling itself pretty well here, I have to say. And when you accelerate, it really goes, wow. Okay. And when you brake, it really leans forward, far out. Fair bit of body movement to this vehicle. Now I've just put it back to auto mode, which will still run the car as a hybrid rather than in electric mode. You can elect to put it in EV mode, of course. It's a plug-in hybrid, so it does have that capability, and it does also have, you know, pretty easy drivability. The thing that is standing out most to me though is this roly-poly nature. It doesn't have the most road-focused suspension by the feel of things, but it's not unfamiliar for a vehicle like this, which is a body-on-frame, ladder chassis SUV, to feel a little bit wobbly, and that's just how it feels. But I do like the way that it brakes, and I like the way that it accelerates, and in fact, let's do a little acceleration test from this straight ahead right here, and we're off. Whoa! Wow, the way it pitches its nose up and then, ooh, yeah. Bit of nose to tail movement for this one. Fun though, and surprisingly quite good. If they get the price right for this vehicle, I think it could be a game changer for the luxury SUV market, because there's really nothing else quite like it right now in our market, with 5 seats and plug-in hybrid powertrain tech and off-road capability like this. It is super impressive, and wow, is it luxurious too. So have your say in the comments. What do you think they could charge for this, or what would you be willing to pay more correctly? Thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you when I see you.